Another question. What's one secret of being successful that you think we all should know? Here's one. I picked this up from a guy named Trammell Crow many years ago. Trammell Crow, some of you may remember, was big in real estate. Trammell told me this many years ago. He said, John, you're successful when other people want you to be successful. You need to be adopted. I've always thought that's true after he told me that. Successful people always tell you there's no ladder success. It's actually a pulley. You get pulled up by other people. You want your team wanting you to be more successful, obviously. But you want your customers, you want your clients, you want your peers, you want your bosses to want you to be successful. Being adopted is a really important part of getting success in any organization. So how do you do this? How do you do this? There are 1,000 different ways. Let me give you just 1 or 2 ways you might get adopted more in the future. One trick. Stop asking questions and start seeking advice. If I ask you a question, you'll answer it. You ask for your advice, you get more invested in your answer, don't you? Study done a number of years ago on using email by a group of graduates doing this piece of research. The subject line of the email was either have a question or need your advice. They measured how quickly you responded as well as how thorough the response was. What they found was amazing. If I asked for your advice, you got a quicker response, but you also got a more thorough response. People love being consultants. People don't like to be interrogated. So asking for advice is one. Another one is something tied to networking. Little thing to remember. Let's suppose I do you a giant favor. I mean, it's a huge favor. It's an enormous favor. Who owes who? Do you owe me or do I owe you? The research says, counterintuitively, I actually owe you more. In fact, the more favors I do you, the more I owe you. We call it investment theory. Ben Franklin came up with this concept 300 years ago, all right? Look, when I do a favor, I'm investing you. If I do another favor, I'm investing you again. At some point, I'll put so much work into making you successful that you're not allowed to fail. There are people in every organization who are essentially golden. They're Teflon. Nothing can go wrong. Too many people have worked too hard to make them successful for the organization to actually not have them successful any longer. So you want to get adopted, and there's no harm in asking favors. Old selling technique. I want to meet with customer B. I cannot get him to return my calls. He won't respond to my calls. So what do? I have a customer A who's a friend of mine. I say to customer A, could you introduce us to B? Could you set up a lunch for all 3 of us? A, I will get connected to B in that process. But here's the amazing thing. A will actually buy more from me afterwards because he's vetted me in front of his friends. He's now committed that I'm a good person in front of other people. So he's now more invested in me. So successful people need to get adopted, and that really marks off the most successful